have some wild ramps here and some garlic. I'm going to chop it all up. Chopping it as fine as I can. Smells delicious. So this is my second year foraging for ramps, and they are delicious. But this year I was inspired by Angie over at Me and You Acres. She made a beautiful bread using her ramps and garlic. And if you want to see that video, that is actually on the Needy Homesteaders YouTube channel under the hashtag Inspired by Needy. So I was inspired by Angie, who was inspired by Heather, to use my ramps and make something else with them, slightly different. So I am going to put them in my pizza dough and see how that tastes. I'm making a few doughs today. I'm taking them to my mom's house. It's her 87th birthday, and she is part of my bubble. So I am going to go and make homemade pizza for her. So this is the bulb of the ramp, and I'm going to add that too. Some garlic here. Probably a lot of garlic, but that's okay because I like garlic. So, and this garlic was my garlic from last year. So wild leeks or ramps and homegrown garlic. A lot of garlic, I don't know. Not everybody likes garlic as much as I do, but maybe I'll only put some of it in. I don't know. So, a trick to chopping garlic, if it gets sticky, you can sprinkle a tiny bit of salt on it, and it brings the juices out and loosens the garlic up on your knife so that it chops better. It doesn't stick together as much. I have a garlic press, but I really don't like it. I much prefer chopping by my hand, just chopping by myself. Satisfying about that. As you can see, no skills required. Just working with the knife. I've chopped it one way first, and now I'm just doing a continual chop over it to make it really small because I'm putting it into something, into a dough. I don't want it too big. Then you just put your pile together, run it off the knife, and over again. And you're gonna get really, and you can go as fine as you want. I don't need no press. Who needs a press? I find it wastes a lot of the garlic. I don't want to be cleaning it off the press and throwing it out. So there we go. Look at that. No press required. So everything's dirty because I've already made one dough. Just run everything off the knife as best as I can, so nothing is left behind. And so I'm going to put that to the side, and that to the side. I don't know where. Oh, maybe right here. And now I can make the dough. Make a couple more doughs, so maybe I'll infuse 2 of them. Then neither one is really strong. There's the first one. Look how pretty. And I'm by no means a trained baker. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 cups of regular unbleached all-purpose flour to start with. I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of yeast. At the moment I'm using a pizza yeast, but I use any yeast, whatever I have. So sometimes I don't use a pizza yeast. And they say about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I just do it this way, I don't bother. So I used to just throw it in, but I did see that on Heather from the Needy Homestead, on her channel, she did mention that maybe you should not put the salt right on top of the yeast immediately because it can have a reaction. So I'm now just sort of putting it off to the side and seeing if that, just to make sure I don't have any issues. And then I need some olive oil, and I don't measure it. I think it's about, hold on. It says a tablespoon, but I've stopped measuring that a long time ago too. So I just do 1, 2, 3, 4, works for me. Good enough. And where's my, I need 3/4 for this recipe, 3/4 of a cup of warm water. So warm but not burning hot. I'm going to put that in, and I put that on top of the yeast so it gets wet before it mixes in with everything else. And then I use my handy dandy paddle here, and I'm just going to start incorporating it. So as you can, this is hard because I don't have anything fancy to film, but the yeast starts to bubble, and then I just start incorporating it. I can't really move the camera because it's stuck onto a chair with my cheap little tripod thingy. So anyway, I'm starting to incorporate it with the paddle here, with the mixing thing, spoon thing, and it starts to come together, as you can see. So it's like rough now. So I never had a term for that, but Jill Winger from Prairie Homestead calls it shaggy dough. So, and it's a perfect explanation of that. As you can see, it is kind of shaggy. So I'm going to keep working that in until it's sort of relatively incorporated, just so that I can get my hands in there without completely getting gooey. So, and now I'm going to start pushing it together with my hands in the bowl a little bit. Okay, so now before I get too far, And I've never done this, so maybe it's not the way to do it. But before I go too far now, I'm going to take a handful of my mixture and add it to my dough and start kneading. I don't know if I should have kneaded more first, or I don't know. But this is what I'm doing right now. Like I say, I am not a trained baker or cook. I just sort of go by feel and intuition. I do have some books and I look at recipes. Food recipes I usually modify. And this pizza recipe is out of a book called The New Cook. And I think it's a DK book, which I got out of the bank off one of those tables where you can put a loonie down for fundraising and grab a book. And it's a beautiful book. Mind you, I really don't use it that much for recipes, but that's where I got the pizza recipe that I like to use. So there we go. It's starting to come together. So now what I'm going to do is put it out here, lay some flour down, get all that, anything stuck in there, I'm going to get that out because I'm a little compulsive that way. And so now, look at how pretty that is. Pretty. I'm going to start kneading it. And I don't have a machine, like I don't have a proper tripod. I just do it by hand, and it's really not that difficult. You just sort of, usually, I think the principle is sort of like bring it over, and then the other way over, and then over, and then the other way over, and then over. And if you use the heel of your hand, you get a good push without having it squish through your fingers. So one way, another way. One way, another way. One way, the other way. And just pushing. And then when you feel that it's a little wet or sticky, just get some flour, put it on top, and start again. And I think it takes between 5 and 8 minutes of doing this. And you will notice the dough change. Like, it's hard to describe, but from that first dough that was wet, and then it becomes kind of shaggy, and then it starts to just all homogenize. It blends together and it becomes elastic and more elastic the more you work it. You don't want to overwork it, but the more you work it, and just keep flipping and pushing. Add a little flour, flip, push, flip, and push. You can see how it's already changing. And I don't, in the beginning I set a timer. I was very like, oh my goodness, am I doing it the right way? Is it the amount of time that it's supposed to be? But I just don't bother anymore. I have seen on some people say that if you add too much flour, then it becomes heavy. So you do want to be careful and not add like a giant, you know, if you need to add flour, that you don't add half a cup right away or a quarter cup right away. But you're just adding little bits at a time and going about it that way. So as you can see, it's getting smoother and it gets this silky look and texture. Now this one is a little bit, it's kind of weird because I got all the little pieces poking through. So it's a little different, but as I say, trial and error. You can't really go wrong. I mean, the worst that can happen is you don't like it very much. Maybe it didn't work out perfectly, doesn't taste perfectly. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you learn. And most of the times, even mistakes taste pretty good, I think. I don't think you go really wrong with them. So as you can see, it's getting more elastic, but it's a little sticky, so I'm going to add some more. It smells really good. Oh my goodness. don't know if everybody else is gonna like it because, well, my son, my mom, because maybe that's not their thing, but it's gonna be their thing today. They can choose from one other dough if they don't want this. Then that means it's all mine, and that's okay too. Can't complain about that. So, as you can see how it's just more together, even when I'm picking it up. It's not so discombobulated and chunky. It's now sort of always one piece. And heel down. Pick it up, push it over the other side, heel into it. Heel of the hand into it, push. And you're just kind of rolling it away from you. Wow, it smells amazing. So I'm going to have to try and make bread with this stuff too, like Angie did. So again, I'm going to say that if you'd like to see how she did that, go over to Me and You Acres, and I think she should have it on her playlist, maybe not. But if it's not on her playlist, then for sure it's on Heather's at the Needy Homesteads playlist, and it will be under #InspiredByNeedy. And you'll find it there, and you'll see how she baked her bread with the wild ramps and baked it in a wood fire oven, because she's off grid and that's how she cooks. So it's pretty neat. And if you want to learn more about bread making and pizza dough making and all kinds of other things, canning, just everything, then definitely go over to the Needy Homesteaders YouTube channel, and you really can find everything there. It's pretty amazing. You can learn how to do just about anything, cooking wise, in the kitchen especially. So I think that's about good. I keep losing bits of my garlic as the dough turns, but a couple more. So you see I push it down, I get it like that, plop it down and roll it, and roll it, and roll it, roll it, and roll it. Okay, I think I got a nice little dough baby there now. So there we go. See how nice that looks now? I'm going to take these with me and bake them there. Give it a little spank. And see, that's the bottom. It's just all folded together. Now when I roll it out, I use some flour and my rolling pin actually, and I just roll it out that way and then plop it into the pizza pan. Wow, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's absolutely beautiful. So, what am I gonna put that on? Another plate. My goodness, I'm making a lot of dishes here. You can see this one's already starting to rise. You see the crack there? It's quite a pretty dough. The only thing I didn't do right, because I was in a hurry, was I didn't flour the bottom of this plate because I didn't know how long I'd leave it there. So what I'm going to do is quickly do that now. No big deal. So, and sometimes when I put it back in the bowl, if I'm only making one, sometimes I smear the bowl with some olive oil, and then it comes out really easily there too. So there we go. That'll come off there better now. So, and what was I going to say? There we go. So now they're not going to get stuck there. That would have been a fail. So, and when you roll it out, put it on a pan, whatever shape pan you have really, And I don't know if I'm gonna have, I won't show you that on this video. Maybe I will, I don't know. I guess I can add it in if I do. What I do is roll it out and I put some sauce on it, and then I pop it in the oven quickly for about 5, 7, 8 minutes, just with the sauce. And it helps cook the crust so that it doesn't have to be in there so long with all the toppings on it. Because my son, and it makes a nice crust that way, but my son doesn't like his cheese overcooked. He doesn't like it when it gets crusty. So in order to make sure everything is cooked, I do the crust first a little bit. And it's a nice way to do it. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to look at my book to make sure. Gotta put my glasses on. So you're going to preheat the oven. You're going to preheat the oven to 425 if you're going to bake it right away. And you're going to put it for 10 or 15 minutes until the edges begin to rise. Oh no, that's for if you want, yeah, that's if you want to rise it. So, and then it says 20 to 25 minutes. So, as I said, what did I say earlier? I don't follow the recipes. I just look at what I want and then I do whatever I want. So, what I do is I preheat the oven to 425. When it's ready, I put the crust in with sauce on it. I let that cook 5, 7, 8, 9 minutes. I just watch it. When I'm ready, I pull it out. I put all the rest of the toppings on. I put it in for another 15 minutes, maybe 20 if it really needs it, but usually 15, 12 to 15 is where the cheese gets to where my son wants to eat it. So that's what I do to please him. Anyway, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. And then if I choose to add anything to this, I will. So just so you can see, that's the book. And I paid $1 for that into the donation bin. Maybe a toonie, I don't even know. But it's an amazing book. It really is.